The Prime Minister says he's awaiting the findings of a report by the head of his department into the sports rorts saga before commenting on Bridget McKenzie's future. Minister McKenzie is under pressure to resign over her handling of government grants during her time as Sports Minister. Joining us now live is Sky News political editor Andrew Clennell. Andrew, the Prime Minister didn't exactly give a glowing endorsement of Bridget McKenzie in that press conference that we just saw.
Yeah, no way. Real straight bat, and really left open that suggestion that she could go over this. He said he was awaiting the outcome of the review by the head of his department, Phil Gaetjens, before taking action. Those were his words. And he also spoke of the fact that he had no pressure on Mr Gaetjens to go one way or the other. Mr Gaetjens is considering two things. He's considering the actual administration of the grants program, $100 million itself. And a couple of days ago, Mr Morrison also sent to him the fact that one of the grants went to a gun club, of which Ms McKenzie had been made, should I say, an honorary member. I understand that revelation concerned the PM, and that's where we've got this speculation that she could be forced to resign as early as tomorrow. Really happen two things. It depends what happens with the Gaetjens report, and then it's how she reacts to it. Certainly, the Minister has been saying she's not going to resign. She's given a statement, which I think we can bring up here. The Minister isn't resigning, their office says. She's actively engaging in the process and is confident there hasn't been breach in standards. Well, that just means she isn't resigning today, it has to be said, because it still talks about the process ongoing. She's also spoken to my colleague, or our colleague Laura Jay's, Danica, where she's denied she's resigning around an hour ago. But it might not be left to her, of course, depending on what the Gaetjens report finds and whether there's been any breach of ministerial standards. Let's listen to what Scott Morrison said in his press conference.
It's the right thing to do for me to seek advice on those matters, and I'm awaiting that advice, and I'll await for that report. But I'm not going to prejudice the outcome of that report. I think that would be unfair to that process and to the Secretary. I'll let him do his job. And then I will look at that advice and take whatever actions are necessary.
Do you stand by the contention that you and your ministers have been making over the last week that she's done nothing wrong and no rules have been broken?
Well, they were quoting the Auditor General's report.
Why does Bridget McKenzie still have a job, given how scathing that Auditor General report was?
Well, this is why these matters have been referred to the Secretary, and I'm following that process. I said at the time, as you'll recall, that I took these matters very seriously. I took the Auditor General's report very seriously, and we're acting on the recommendations of that report.
So it's well known now, Danica, that there was a dinner at the Lodge last night with the Deputy Prime Minister, Michael McCormack, the Treasurer and the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister didn't deny in that press conference Bridget McKenzie's future had been discussed. Hard to imagine over Turkish pizza it didn't come up. Mr Albanese's had a few words to say today. Let's listen to that.
The fact is that those oversized cheques represent the illustrated guide to buying your way into power. This abuse is rank. It stinks more than a bucket of prawn heads that you left out on a hot day like today. The stench goes all the way up to the government. And today, Andrew Clennell has exposed the fact that sources have told him that the Prime Minister's office were involved in this scandal. The truth is that Bridget McKenzie needs to resign, and there needs to be full transparency about which applications were successful, which applications weren't.
And that image of prawn heads is going to stay with me for some time, it has to be said. Now, he was asked, the Prime Minister, about his ability to sack Ms McKenzie, given she is a National Party minister. And he was at pains to point out that all the way through the process, the first referral and the second referral, he's been working with the Deputy PM on it. So it sounds like Michael McCormack's on the same page, whatever has to happen here, Danica.